Hello, everyone. I'm Riva, and this is going to be a little series called Inspired After Hours. And today I'm going to talk to you about passion projects. I think passion projects can be incredibly fun, very fulfilling, and there's something that's possible for really everybody. And I want to share how, no matter if you're someone who has a 9 to 5, you're a shift worker, if you're maybe a parent, or whatever it is that you do, maybe you're in the medical profession, you are able to have a passion project. And if it's something you truly desire, something from your heart that is just calling you to be created, there is so much potential for you. And I want to share some of my own experiences with this process of creating one and just helping you to understand how it is possible and steps you can take and some things to be aware of along the way to not let yourself get caught and disrupted and stop yourself potentially from even taking steps in the direction of creating your passion project. And I would love to share this with you, especially now if you're watching this at the start of the year or whenever you might be watching it. Honestly, it's great to just start something exciting and inspiring anytime. It's not something for everyone. So I'll start with that. If you're feeling called to do this, if you're like, I really feel like there's something big I want to do, there's an impact I want to make, and I'm just not sure how to get there, then this is for you. If you're like, I'm really just not interested in doing more things, I don't care about a passion project, by all means, do not worry. You just don't have to do it. But I think these days, especially in the corporate world, in really a lot of fields, there's been a lack of heart and a lack of impact that people are finding that they're making on a personal level. Because even though your company might do really big, amazing things, if you're working in a very niche department or a very blocked off portion of the company, sometimes it can feel like the impact that you personally are making is just not as great as the whole, which is fine. But we want everyone to feel fulfilled. We want everyone to feel like they're making a difference in the world, whether that's their smaller world, their family life, and that's where the impact is that you want to make. Or maybe it's to your community, maybe it's to the city, maybe it's to a group of individuals in a different country, whatever it might be, there is something for you and you have the capacity to do this. It's not something that should require you to drop everything in the world. You don't have to quit your day job to do this. It's not something where you have to feel like you have to start a company. I think that's a pitfall that a lot of people can go down. And I've made that mistake myself. Often, I recommend that people go into this idea of a passion project with the intention to eventually have some kind of impact. But number one, not need it to be immediate right away, not tomorrow, and not feel like it has to become $1 million business. While some passion projects and some hobbies and some of these side hustles have turned into a company, have turned into an actual company, I don't think it's wise to go into these kinds of passion projects with that intention behind it. Should they become that? Great. But I think that there's so much that we all actually want to be doing, but we don't feel like it's valid if it's not called a company. We don't feel like it's valid if it's not already helping a million people. And so you might lose interest or kind of drop it off and go forget about it. I'm failing or I'm wasting my time. And it's so far from the truth. One of the things I really want to encourage people to recognize is even though you might be a very focused person, you may actually be a multi-passionate person. There've been a lot of people who get called multi-passionate people. I'm one of them. And I think it's just a label, just like everything else. It doesn't really define you. It doesn't really mean you can or can't do certain things. It just is a certain set of traits, a certain set of characteristics that tend to make you what they call multi-passionate. And so I want to inquire though, is it really just the multi-passionate people who are multi-passionate? Because so many of you out there are passionate about a lot of different things. You have interests in more than just your career. You have things that you like, things that you are excited about outside of work. And it's okay for you to like these different things. There tends to be a negative connotation that goes with if you are a person who gets to be interested in many different things. You get called distracted, or you get called, in not so great terms, you're someone who can't keep their focus. They can't keep on task. And that's actually a really great skill set, to have so many interests, to be able to work on so many different things, and to have the drive to do so. But I think inherently many people have that drive, but they're afraid to embrace it because they're afraid of being called distracted, or maybe they've even been called that in their past and they didn't like it and it was done so in a negative way. And so I want you to start to become comfortable with, what if you actually have a lot of different interests? What if you have a diverse, very rich amount of things that you are intrigued by, that you want to work on, that you want to contribute to create? It's wonderful. It's really truly wonderful, and I think that's the true essence of so many people. Because yes, there is your career and that can be very fulfilling, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think that's supposed to be where we derive our greatest meaning in life. I don't think there's any one place that comes from. I think it's an amalgam of so many things that we're passionate about. And I think that when you give yourself the freedom to know it's okay for you to do things that aren't just your job or your family, it's okay for you to find things that maybe there's overlap between them all, but there doesn't even have to be. Sometimes you just might like race cars, or you might like gardening, or you might like singing, like whatever it is. I encourage you to find things that bring your heart's vision to life, and that you are inspired to work towards, to work on, whether it's for you personally or for your community or your family. And as you become comfortable with going, hey, I guess it's not such a bad thing. I'm not just distracted and it's in a bad way because I want to do these different things. It's actually like a superpower of sorts. It's actually quite intriguing, and it's quite amazing how I can bring all these different pieces of me together instead of neglecting. I think a lot of us have neglected ourselves for far too long, different pieces of ourselves, because we're not one thing. We're not our job. We're not just a piece of the family. We're not just a piece of other people's lives. Like, we are our own unique experience, and we have so much to offer. And if we don't allow all of ourselves to be expressed, the different pieces of ours that are passionate about different things included, then we're missing a part of our life. And that's why so many people can feel like there's something not right. There's something off about what's going on in their careers. And they're like, do I need to change jobs? Do I need to change companies? Like, what is it that's not fulfilling me? And they're looking for fulfillment to all come from one source. And ultimately fulfillment comes from within, but sometimes it's much more fun to express ourselves and to derive fulfillment through the full expression of ourselves, whether that's you're leading a fundraising cause, or you're saving animals, or you're saving the environment, or you're saving a tree, like whatever it is. It's really, really empowering and can make you feel so uplifted when you help inspire others for a single thing that you're interested in. Now, I'm saying single, but I want you guys to consider that, just like with trying on clothes, for example. You've probably gone into a changing room with the set of 10 or 20 different shirts, pants, or sweaters. I know I have. And you try them all on and you're like, okay, which one looks good? Which one feels good? Which one's like all the right aspects and things? And that's okay, right? Like, it's normal to go try on a bunch of clothes. Like, if you're going to find the right pair of jeans, good gracious, you better have plenty of time and a lot of different jeans to try on. It's not easy. But somehow people get the idea in their head with passion projects that there's going to be one, and they just are going to know it's their passion project because it's going to be like fireworks and everything's going to be like leading their way. But the truth is, even with passion projects, it's best to try different things. Just like you spend that effort and energy to try the different clothes on, try different restaurants before you find your favorite one. You got to try all of the different things out there. And then, and only then, are you actually going to know that know that this is right for me. This is where I want to spend my energy. And you may not land on one, you might land on three, and that's okay. You know, for example, like if you look at my YouTube channel, it has multiple different playlists. There's like a good 6 to 10 different playlists. And that's because I have so many passions. I love breath work. I love to share about mindfulness. I love to help people understand how they can practice self-care or be more compassionate to themselves and like really actually enjoy their lives. That's why I have, a YouTube channel and a podcast and different things. Do you need to have all of these? No. My point is that even though people will tell you you have to niche, you have to have a single thing that you're narrowly focused on, and that's how you grow, that's how you succeed. It is a way. It's not the only way. And the more and more I've practiced with this and played with this, I have found the truest, most complete fulfillment when I allow myself to express myself in all of the ways. Create all of the playlists, all of the series may not even like cross over each other. They're very unrelated sometimes, but I get to express who I am unapologetically, authentically, and in a way that makes me feel fulfilled. And I encourage more people to play with that idea. It doesn't have to be on a YouTube channel, but don't limit yourself to one group, one organization, or one cause until you are more certain there's actually one that you're truly passionate about. And it's like a push and pull. There's going to be a part of it's how are you fully, invested and you're excited about it. And then are there others who are benefiting from it that are giving you feedback? Like I look at feedback. I look to see, okay, is there a video that's getting more interest, that's more helpful? My goal is to be helpful ultimately. So of course, if there's a topic that I'm getting requests for, or a topic that people are liking more and more engaged with, and they're finding it more helpful, sure, I'll add a little bit more content in that section. Does that mean I'll stop and neglect and ignore everything else that I'm passionate about? No, it just means that I'll put a bit more emphasis in those other areas because I know that it's giving enough to enough people where they're receiving the help that's inspiring to them. And then I can still be inspired and do all of the things that are meaningful to me. But of course, I'm listening to that feedback to see and it's more fun. It becomes more fun when you see that you're engaging with more people and that you're helping more people with whatever your cause is. You can let that help you to narrow it as you go along. But it's just like life. It's not about a straight path. It is a very winding path to find your passions. And everything that you try along the way, I encourage you to experiment. Try every single one of the ideas on the list that you create of what, maybe there's 20 things you're passionate about. Try them. See, maybe you're like, you know what, I'm passionate. I want to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you start it and you realize I hate doing videos. I hate recording. I hate all of the setup. And you're like, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be that. Maybe audio is better. Maybe you decide, let me make it a podcast. Maybe you're like, you know what? I don't like all of this other stuff with the podcast and the YouTube. I just want to post pictures, or I just want to create workshops, or I just want to, create an organization or a group of people that are going to work for a certain cause. And that's perfect. You'll find what's right for you, but you have to experiment. For me to have gotten to where I am right now, where I have a website, I do have an online yoga and breathwork studio where I teach classes and I teach in person sometimes. I do have the YouTube channel. I have Instagram accounts. I have podcasts. Like all of these things are pieces of what I am. None of them are me entirely, and none of them run my life. I do these things as I have time, and I do these things like with the website that I have, I didn't just have a website overnight. Like this is incremental. And it was because maybe 10 years ago, I had the idea to create a website, and then I struggled to figure out coding and different things and realized how hard it was. But I learned to get as far as, how do I put my website on a server? Like, how do I get a server? How do I like rent space on it? And like, I learned that much. And then I just kind of gave up after a little while. But had I not done that back then, I wouldn't have had the skill sets to take me the step further to go, okay, well, I know how to get that far. Now I have the energy and the drive to figure out how to make a more full website and then actually launch it. And you know, it didn't even start with a website. It started with like a booking page, of like a free booking page that because I didn't start, you don't have to start by investing everything into it. You can just start by what's reasonable for you with meet yourself where you're at. You don't need millions of dollars. You don't need a fancy camera and everything. When I first started doing all these things with social media, I had a phone and I had a free booking account. I had like, you know, very limited. I even used the free Zoom account in the beginning. And then when I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm ready to invest in myself, I got my own Zoom account, $15 a month. And then I got like, you know, I upgraded to a nicer looking website that was actually a website that I created that on WordPress. And then I finally like upgraded that to another level. And you know, it was incremental, and it wasn't like, oh, bam, it's published tomorrow and it's like, oh yeah, there's the website. It's like, no, I picked a logo, I put the logo together, I put the introduction together, I made the contact page, and over weeks maybe I put piece by piece by piece together. So if you're like a parent, if you're someone who has crazy hours, you can do this too. You don't need the website and everything else. I just mean you can make the steps you need to make forward to start to create your passion project and bring it to life, whatever that might be for you. And it's about being patient with yourself and not expecting everything to happen overnight. Like, you're not going to have 1 million followers tomorrow. You're going to have incremental growth. You're going to have a very like small step by step. You may not see the picture for a little while, but as you take steps forward, you will be so fulfilled when you start to see you put your first event on, you put your first cause together, you put your first fundraiser together, you actually donate the shoes you've collected for this group or organization, like whatever it is that you're excited about. And anytime you start to get hung up on, oh, but you know, I started to do this passion project idea and then I failed, and then you start another one and you fail, and you call it failure. All it really is redirection and in education along the way. Every failure just could be looked at as, I learned a new skill set. Like when I learned a long time ago, like I'm glad I tried and failed so many different things, because it taught me how to become who I am now and how to have the skills to put together everything. You know, I didn't go into just recording videos on YouTube immediately. Like I had time of practicing on Instagram. I did lives, I did reels, I did all the things just to see like, well, what is this going to be like? How do you make a good video? How do you do a good live? Like, and then over time, I started to invest in recording equipment and microphones and nicer video camera, like in a setup, you know, like my first videos when I was like just starting to do stuff on social media, I had like a curtain behind me and I had 2 lamp posts. Like it was very barely put together. Like it almost fell on me so many times. It was not the safest setup. But it was just like a tower like this thing with these like poles that would go across. So you all you saw was a curtain behind me. And all around me in the room was just chaos, because the rest of the room was all of our moving boxes and stuff, because we were at my family's house. And that's how I started. Like I didn't have nice little cute lights and a dragon behind me. Like I had curtains that I just was praying wouldn't fall on me during a video or a class that I was teaching. And my camera was just like this basic little like webcam that just kind of could capture enough of the image, but if I left my little box of space, then like my arm would get cut off or something. And now I have like a video that zooms in and out. But it's okay in the beginning for whatever it is. You have like a grassroots program. Maybe you're just going door to door in the beginning. Maybe it's like a newsletter you're putting together. it doesn't matter like what it looks like, but you can start somewhere and know that it doesn't have to be the full deal. It doesn't have to be the launch of a website. It could be a Zoom meeting that you have weekly with a group of people who are mutually interested in the same cause. But take steps to move towards that passion project and to bring it to life, and try all of the ideas in the beginning, because they're gonna I used to get hung up on it. I would think that I almost started to feel bad because I was like, but I'm getting these people invested in this idea and I don't want to let people down. But the truth is, I needed to try all of the things in order to gain the skill sets to do the things that I'm more passionate about now. But had I looked back in time and gone, you know what? I don't really know if this website's going to pan out. And I never bothered trying to make my first one, which didn't go anywhere at all. Then I wouldn't have had all of the steps and momentum to create it when I really needed to for my actual business. And when I look back, there's so many things that I did where I messed something up, or I didn't understand how the audio equipment worked, or I didn't understand how something was going to go wrong, or I didn't understand, like, I was beating my head against a wall on something, or I didn't realize, like, oh, I created this really amazing workshop, but then I didn't have the people who were showing up for it. But all of the skills I learned along the way were incredible and informative and helped me to really refine everything now. So if you start towards your passion project and you're meeting failures or what appear to be failures, know that they're actually just education along the way. And that's normal for everybody. Everybody who's successful in business, in their major passions, they've tried and failed so many different things, and that's okay. But I really am passionate about sharing this idea of creating passion projects with other people, because I know how fulfilling it's been for me. I know how much it means to me when I can hear how someone feels better after my classes, or how someone feels like inspired or invigorated, or just like they see life in a new way after I've worked with them for certain things, or the impact that I've been able to make because of my passion projects is like so enlivening, and just like it's made me more complete. It's made me more of who I am. And it makes, even when you have days that are a little monotonous, a little bit of a repetitive nature at work, it makes those much more okay. It makes those much more bearable, and like, okay, I can get through this. It's just, an off day, but then I know tonight I'm going to be working on this thing where I'm hoping to outreach to like hundreds of grad students, or like I'm hoping that, when I put this together, I'm, excited for this to serve parents, or I'm excited for this to serve little kids in this community. But like, when you have these other things going on that you're excited about, that feel are very, because the other thing is, there's so many people who are so angry and so hurt and so upset because of things happening in the world, but they stop there. They stop in the pain and the anger and the frustration. And it hurts me, because I'm just like, no, that's the fire. The fire is great. Now, what are you going to do with it? Like, what are you going, like, it's okay. And even if someone has different views than me, that's okay. Like, I encourage it, because we're in a free country and we get to speak our minds. We get to have different values. We get to have differences of opinions. But if something is hurting you and bothering you that much, there's probably something there for you to create, to support, and either pick one or the other. Either drop it, or if it bothers you so damn much, and go do something about it. What in your life? And sometimes I'll caveat that with, sometimes the best thing you can do is to take care of yourself first. Sounds selfish, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to be selfish. Sometimes you're in a state where you're not ready to help other people. You're not ready to serve the world. Sometimes you're not in a financial, mental, emotional, physical state to go helping everyone else. So your passion project can be you at that point in time, to help you get out of the rut that you're in, and to get into a state in life where you can explore passion projects that are serving your community at large. Because it's important, before you can help other people, you need to help yourself first. It's like the gas mask and the oxygen mask on the plane, put your mask on before you put other people's on, because if you go down, you can't help anyone else. So it goes back to self-care and everything else. You have to be okay before you can help other people. And that does mean prioritizing you. That does mean, and if you're a busy parent, I get it. Sometimes it's just you have to ask for support from your community, whether that's your significant other, family members, friends. It's okay to ask for help sometimes, but if that means you taking care of yourself so you can show up more positive and more yourself, the way you want to be, instead of being resentful, and with the energy to do the exciting things like your passion projects, then that's important to do, to ask for that help and support. And to ask for the time to be supported, to do the extra meetings or the things you might want to do in order to push your passion project forward. But you have to ask for help sometimes, and you have to prioritize you above anything else, your work, your passion projects, everything else. Because in order to do the passion project, you have to be in a good enough state, mentally, physically, emotionally, to actually successfully be inspired and to take the action needed to do all the things. So I'm going to leave it at there for now. Take care of yourselves first and foremost, and then by all means engage with all of the different ideas that you've got and play with them, try them. Know it's okay to just kind of detour and swerve around a bit, and you will find things that are super exciting and inspiring for you. All right. Take care for now. I hope you enjoy the future videos.